Do I have to be naked the first time? Is another question. My response is yes, you do have to. I was a closet dancer, I guess you could say. I was hiding out in the basement alone watching American Bandstand. and everybody was dancing and I started dancing. There were some dance classes being offered, so I took those up. When I finished my degree, a friend had introduced me. He wanted to take the yoga class, and so I went along with him. At some point then along the way, I ended up teaching yoga and then moved to Montreal. In the yoga studios, it's mostly women with 2 or 3 guys, and in my whole dance training, it was the same thing. And what I was beginning to realize is that there's a need for men to come together in community. I teach yoga. I teach naked yoga for men. There's a freedom of movement without clothes. Just the elastics, you know. Like, yes, there's loose clothing, but you know, when you're folding your joints, and all of a sudden if it's loose, the clothing bunches up into the joints, or if there's an elastic, you know, it pulls on the muscles in a certain kind of way. And without that bunching of clothing, without the elastics, the muscles move more freely, more easily. I mean, when we wear clothes, we get used to it, and we work within those limitations. But when you take the clothes off, work out, do yoga without the clothes, and then try doing yoga with the clothes, you feel those subtleties, and you feel how it restricts movement. At the beginning, I would even say that people came in with that agenda. That, oh, a naked yoga? Oh, it's got to be sex. And they quickly found out that that's not the case. Plank pose, hold it. No, hold it. Hold it. Somebody comes in for the first time, they're not used to holding on their hands and toes for more than 2 breaths. They're out of there. I've had a few heterosexual men ask if there's women present. And I've had a couple of heterosexual men that have joined us, but the majority of the men at the studio are in fact gay. There's a bit of an intimidation for heterosexual men to be present with gay men naked. In Canada, Vancouver, Ottawa, Montreal have regular classes. Toronto has a semi-regular group. To my knowledge, that's all that exists in Canada. I have a colleague who attempted to do a naked yoga for women and for mixed. And it wasn't successful. In the end, she ended up, my understanding, if I remember correctly, was that she had more men that were interested than the women, number one. And when it was women only, the women, the interest just didn't seem to be there. I think as gay men, Ellen DeGeneres said this quite wisely. She said, if you grow up black in a black family, there's a sense of connection and a sense of community. But when you grow up gay, there's a sense of isolation. I think many gay people experience that sense of isolation until they mature out of that, and then there's still some of that hangs in there. So to be able to create a community where we can shed some of that shame, and be with like-minded, like-spirited people. There's an accepting, there's growth, there's personal growth, there's an inner growth that can happen.